Back, bringing you Seth Jaoko, Executive Director of ReLinked Group Network. Thank you for joining us again. My name is Ohiga Kebuturi, and this is Let's Create Africa, the webinar. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys. Welcome to Let's Create Africa, the webinar, where we talk about business innovation, governance, and the SDGs. Today we have Seth Jaoko, Executive Director, ReLinked Group Network. One of the gentlemen I've met in my career, my present career, not past. In this webinar, we hope he shares a deep understanding of the social impact space in Kenya and Africa in general, and his commitment to ensuring organizational effectiveness through active collaboration and strategic planning. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We appreciate your time. We appreciate the efforts that all of you go to make sure that people get to know about us and people get to know about the work that we do. So without further ado, I would like to say thank you to our partners, Let's Create Africa, which is an entrepreneur support organization leveraging communications, media, and advocacy to help build bridges to opportunities, working with organizations and SMEs in the region. The Future of Work, a platform exploring opportunities for job creation. KYR Africa, which is Know Your Rights Africa, a civic and citizen education platform. And last but not least, Startinef, an innovations ecosystem enabler. Without further ado, we get into the session today. Thank you so much, everybody, for making time for us. We really appreciate that you consider joining us on this show time and again. We don't take it for granted. It's really an honor to be hosting you several times every month, and it's really an honor to see that all of you consider us worth the watching. Without further ado, we go to you, Seth, the man of the hour. Tafadhali, tell us what has led you to this direction of life. Tell us your childhood. Where did you come from? Where are you from? Who are you as the boy, not the man, the boy? Please talk to us, sir.
Thank you very much, Waiga, for having me at this hour. I truly appreciate this platform that is so educative, and I know a number of people have, learned a lot from, these engagements every other time. So my name is Seth Jaoko. I am a Kenyan, a youth advocate, and so my childhood was spent partly in the rural areas of Homa Bay County and Nairobi. So I'm both. I have the two experiences of growing up in the rural areas and also in Nairobi. So I did part of my primary school in the rural areas up to around upper primary. Then I transferred to Nairobi. So we lived in Eastlands with my dad. And then, there's another school there called Madare Community Outreach. That's where I did my KCPE a long time, not so long time.
No judgment whatsoever.
Yeah, yeah. Then high school, I went to Maseno School. The experiences I had in the rural area in Wabi County and the experiences I had in Eastlands have kind of shaped where I am today and my focus areas, my objectives in life. And then also how I got molded into leadership in Maseno School, And then how, after my same school, I joined the University of Nairobi in 2012 up to 2016. I was pursuing mathematics, uh, but after that, I haven't followed that line of being a mathematician. So I'm so much looking forward to interacting with the communities, doing social impact activities, and such like things. So I no longer call myself a mathematician. That's just what I did. I learned maths in high school, so that's why maybe I thought I could pursue it in university, but it didn't. I didn't quite. I was not able to relate what I was learning in class to what I wanted to be afterwards. So that's why I shifted. So now my focus area is on program management, product project management, community impact, youth development, and such like. Yeah, so I'm a community person right now.
Mm. And why? Why the sudden shift? Apart from you feeling like you weren't on the right path, what even made you feel that you weren't on the right path? And then also knowing that impact is nearly an ambiguous statement towards people who are trying to do good. What exactly and how exactly do you define impact?
Yeah, so impact, when you talk about impact, it's an activity uh, that has an effect, a direct effect on community and also the environment. Yeah, so that is impact in brief, an activity that has a direct effect on communities and the environment. So again, coming back to my personal life, my family, we we are not, let me say, well off. So even school fees, high school fees, was not, my parents were not able to afford it now that I was in a little bit expensive high school. So where I was in the community where I was, there's an organization that supported me in high school, and that has had a direct bearing into why I also want to be in the middle of impact, or in the middle of taking someone's hand, in the middle of when you truly impact just one person's life, then it means much. It means much even later on in their life. So that's why I also want to be in that line of directly impacting communities and people, because it means a lot.
Mhm.
It means a lot, yes.
Okay, great. And if you don't mind me asking, what have been some of the impact successes that you've had even while at it? And how did you even start? Actually, before you answer that question, how did you even start? Because apart from change of course, how did you even start? And then know I'm on the right path of impact or impacting.
Yeah, so I didn't know anything about social entrepreneurship. I didn't know anything about social enterprises until 20 it must be 2018, when I attended a short course. It was just a very, very short course by Digital Opportunity Trust. That's when I was introduced to the term social enterprise and social entrepreneurship, and I realized that it's possible for organizations to be uh, to directly impact communities through their products and services. So that's when I started getting interested in this area. Then I also, other than being the executive director of ReLinked Group, I also work with another organization called Daima Trust. And Daima Trust, uh, one of the things we do at Daima Trust is awarding diversity and inclusion champions in Kenya. And so, like as I read about uh, organizations, as I read about people, and actually that's how I came across your story. As I read about what people are doing on the ground, I also got motivated to get involved in
Mm.
you know coming up with initiatives that
Right.
can make direct positive impact in people's lives. So that's how I began, and that's how I'm continuing. And so with the Relinked group, we have activities in Madare slums, where we do leadership development. We connect the youth there with information, equipment, and support. There's another organization down there that we are now working with directly, called Madare Kids Hub Foundation, where myself, together with another team member from ReLinked, we are on advisory. We play advisory roles in that organization. Yeah, and we've also, through the ReLinked group, helped young people start their own young people who are members of ReLinked, because we want them to be members. So, like in 2019, we started. It's called. We started a loan scheme where we give loans uh, to young people in our network who maybe they want to boost their businesses, or they want to start businesses. So we have given like around five people. So we have a business running, a business we supported running in not in Madare, but in Molem, and other places, where we give them loans just to boost their business, especially during COVID. When COVID hit and a number of businesses were affected, so we had that line of directly helping them to boost their business, or to even start.
Ah, great. You've actually brought in a specific aspect called social entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Uh, what is that for especially our audience who don't know what that is? When you talk about impact, you've connected it to social entrepreneurship. What is that, and how exactly does it lean to your standardization or your specific definition of impact?
Yeah, so a social enterprise has all the key elements of a normal business, except that it's an initiative started to make an impact. So a
Mhm.
social enterprise, it has beneficiaries, then it has customers, then it has an elaborate revenue model, then it also has aspects of innovation, where the person engaging in that enterprise has introduced new ways of doing things, doing things in a better way. So that's basically what a social enterprise is. So
Before you continue, you've talked about the general elements of a business, which are what exactly? I know you've mentioned a few things, but which ones are the ones for business and which ones are the ones for social enterprise?
a normal business, buying and selling, yeah,
Mhm.
in simple terms, a normal business buys and sells. But a
Yes.
social enterprise, in as much as it's also selling, but it has beneficiaries. I mean, it was
Mhm.
started with a purpose. Like for us, we want to start this business to meet this need. Maybe it's an environmental challenge, maybe it's a social challenge, but now you use the business principles to meet that need. For example, if you if the need you're meeting is hunger, maybe you've noted that in this community there's a lot of families or kids going hungry. So you come up with a solution that is going to meet that need, but in the process you're also doing business. I don't know whether it makes sense.
Yes, yes, unless otherwise, which now is actually a good time to invite our audience. Please feel free to write in something. If you have a question, please let us know so that Seth can answer them while we're here live. Moto fire. Seth, I see a comment from Isaiah Uchieng who's saying, "Go, Seth. We appreciate you." I see another from Veronica saying, "Oh, Seth, it's nice to see you and seeing the work that you're doing in terms of impact." I see another one, Elijah. He's saying, Seth, good work. I appreciate what you've done for us as a community. Oh, I wonder. I would like to know that story further, but let's continue. It seems that's somebody who really knows you quite well. But let's continue as you still explain social enterprise and businesses. We can go into the matter's impact and how you see are social enterprises the way forward for businesses in Kenya and in Africa. If we want impact, is that the way to go forward?
Yeah, sure. But before I answer that, I was
Mm,
trying to explain a social enterprise. So, like, if you're starting a social enterprise, you ask yourself how does this organization impact the society? Like, when I'm running this organization, how am I impacting the society, and how is this organization impacting the environment, and how is this organization impacting the economy? Yeah. So now the difference is there are some businesses, they emphasize more on the economy, how they are impacting the economy, but a social enterprise will focus on the three: how it is impacting the society, how it is impacting the environment, and how it's impacting the economy.
mhm.
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's go to the next part, which is so social enterprises. Is that the future of businesses in Kenya and in Africa in general? Yes or no? And why?
Uh, I would say it's the future. One thing about Africa is that uh, the politics in Africa is it's like we are self sabotaging ourselves with our politics. You see, uh, a regime can come for 5 years or 10 years, and then another regime comes and it overhauls whatever gains these other regime had made. So in Africa, it's like our politics has not come to a level where everyone can we can enjoy all the rights, where we can enjoy all the benefits that come with a well-run government. So social entrepreneurs coming in to seal some of these gaps, I think it's the way forward for Africa and even in Kenya.
By gaps, what do you mean by gaps apart from politics and governance? Those are governance issues.
Yeah, those are governance issues. So uh, we still have issues of poverty, issues of unemployment, issues of diseases, health. Our agriculture is not. I don't think it is improving. It's like it's decimating. It's not moving on well as it should, and many other things. So actually, I normally compare even Kenya with other countries.
Mhm,
There are a number of things that should be improving in Kenya, but they're not improving as
mhm,
compared with other nations. So that's why, and of course, people say that politics affect uh, every life. So, like, as young people, we should join politics and all that. I know you've had that narrative that as many young people as possible should join politics so that they can
yes.
effect change. But for me, I'm of different opinion because of how that field is, because we have been in it for like 60 years, 50 years, but is there a change? So, and then if you compare young people who are in politics and young people who are in social entrepreneurship, the young people in social entrepreneurship are making better, much more impact than the young people who have joined politics and even people who are in politics. So I would say,
Ah, you brought in something, Seth. Sorry to interrupt, but you brought in a very important aspect in regard to that, and hopefully it's not political, just a conversation.
yeah,
Um, but why is it the work of businesses and social entrepreneurs to evolve and improve facilities and systems within a nation, while at the same time still paying for taxes to the government? Why? What's that? What's the misnomer? Because there's also then a big gap on us, for example, Kenyans paying taxes and still the government not being able to meet the needs of its people. Is that acceptable also? And I won't even go into the reason we are having the conversation right now about maandamano, for example, the protests that are happening in Kenya.
yeah. It's not acceptable, and our taxes should really work for us because
Mm.
people work hard. Uh, but you see those challenges, the challenges of leadership. So another way of tackling that is having developing leaders. It will take time. It will not take like 5 years or 10 years. It will take time of developing leaders through social entrepreneurship and all that, so that with time we will realize uh, it's called issue-based leadership, where we'll have people who are really committed to making change as opposed to self-interest. Because in Africa, the politics that is here is of self-interest. Like everyone wants to join so that they get connected and they reap as much as possible from taxpayers' money, which is not
Mm.
acceptable. So, in as much as we want to hold the politicians accountable and all that, we should also have, like, I call it like a plan B, where we raise responsible leaders who will rise, and with time, all these the ones we have now will accept them off. Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
What could you consider some of the key social challenges facing Kenya and Africa today?
yeah. So I'd said about youth unemployment, like in Kenya, the 70% of all the unemployed people are young people.
Mhm.
Yeah, so youth unemployment is a great challenge. Poverty, there's still areas where people go hungry in Kenya. Education, you see, right now we have CBC, but I do talk to teachers who are in urban areas and teachers who are in rural areas. There's a big
Mm.
difference between their experiences with regard even to CBC. It's like we are raising an equal. I mean, it's already like, CBC, the way CBC is being implemented in the urban areas, and also we also have poor urban areas and rich urban areas. And
Mhm.
in rural areas, we also have, so there's still that imbalance, which is still not going to be solved. So how are we going to look at our education and so that we can realize a shared prosperity for all? Because right now it's still not it's not going to realize the vision that even the government has for the education sector, because it's skewed. It's not it's there's a lot of inequality there.
Mm.
There's still issues about clean water. There are areas that there are no clean water. Issues of sanitation when you walk in the slums, open sewer, all of that. So there's so many things, and then the issues of climate also. So those are some of the challenges that uh, we are facing in Africa in different magnitudes, depending on where you are.
So
Yeah.
how is social entrepreneurship and even an aspect of social impact investing being used to address these challenges? I know you've explained a bit from your side, but in totality, how and why is this being done?
Yeah, so we have people who are deeply concerned about some of these challenges, and they have taken it upon themselves to tackle them. I'll give an example. I don't know whether it's okay with you if I drop a name of an organization
By all
here.
means, by all means, by all means, please.
Yeah, so in the recent past, you've seen this organization called Food for Education
Hmm.
engaging governors, and I think even the president attended a launch here in Nairobi when they were opening a kitchen.
Hmm. That's 1-0, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's what Wanjiru or Wawira Njiru.
Well, we're on 0.
Yeah, Wawira Njiru. Yes, yeah. So you see, for her, she noted that children are are going to school, yes, but the issue of food, the hunger is affecting their performance. So she developed she came up with the idea of food for education, where uh, the kids are served lunch. And so she began just small in Ruiru, and now it is in several counties. I saw in Mombasa, I'd say in Nairobi, several kitchens in Nairobi.
Hmm.
So that's one way of tackling this thing, and now she has government goodwill. Yeah, so that's one example I can give of a social entrepreneur who saw a need and decided to do something about it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm, interesting. Um,
Yes.
and it's very interesting that you bring up some of these organizations. And I know your work with DIAR. Could you tell us a bit more about that before we continue with the other questions? Please just explain to people what that is and what it's about.
Yeah. So DIAR Awards, Diversity and Inclusion Award, is an initiative that recognizes, celebrates, and honors different organizations and individuals who champion diversity and inclusion in Kenya. So we look at PWD inclusion, gender equality. We look at peace and cohesion. We look at youth inclusion. We look at uh, even aspects of community-based organizations. How are they, uh, using their yeah, so we have all that. NGO, we have categories on CBOs, categories on NGOs, we have categories on C-suite executives,
Mhm.
and several others. Yeah, so that's what we do at DR Awards.
And just for what does for the people who don't know, what does DIAR stand for, if I may ask?
Diversity, Inclusion Awards and Recognition.
Ah, good. And some other buzzwords you've used: PWDs, inclusion.
PWD, PWD is persons with disabilities.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Great, great. How long has the organization been there?
the organization has been there since 2017. So, but I joined it in 2018. So
Ah,
I've been there
brilliant.
for 6 years, around 6 years.
Okay, good. As we continue, what are the challenges? And I think I've asked this, but I just want to see how we can input with technology. What are the challenges and opportunities for using technologies to improve social impact in Kenya and Africa? And you can give examples if you also would like.
Okay, uh, like for example, as a social entrepreneur, you've realized that there's this, problem that I want to solve. So you have a priority problem. Maybe you want to meet basic needs of the poor. So that's your priority problem. And then now you come up with a scalable solution. So when you come up with that scalable solution, that's when you're able to look for tools that you can use to scale that in, to have exponential impact for your solution to have your exponential impact. So technology is one way of making sure that your solution reaches as many people as possible. And the example I had cited earlier of Awira Wanjiru, she also has a nice as technology aspect in her organization. It's called Tap to Eat. I don't know whether you've
Yes.
yes, Tap to Eat, where uh, so use it by using M-Pesa, the parents of the kids pay using M-Pesa, and then there's a wallet. It's called N. It's they use it's Tap to It, a digital mobile platform that it uses cutting edge fintech to enable public
NPCs,
private. Yeah,
NPC. It's called
yeah,
NPC. Uh-huh.
and NFC.
And yeah.
Yeah. So parents pay for the subsidized lunches using mobile money. Then the amount is credited to a virtual wallet linked to an NFC smart wristband.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's just one example. So instead of students queuing to pay, it's just tap on their wristwatch. It saves time. Another example I can give, I think you met her when you attended our forum, Drop Access,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Nora Magero.
Mm-hmm.
So Drop Access, they have a vaccine box. It's a box that enable safe transportation of vaccines in rural areas, in hard to reach areas. So it's a fridge. It's a fridge. It's a portable. I don't know whether you are there.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. So the Vaxi box by Drop Access, it's a portable fridge that can be carried on motorbikes, on bicycles in the hard to reach areas to safely transport vaccines. And they also have cooler boxes for storing agricultural produce so that, to prevent post-harvest losses. Yeah. And several others. I can cite Nairobi, where an organization that trains young people. They endeavor to there's a digital gap. So
Mm-hmm.
they train young people in the slum areas on technological courses, just to help them also get virtual jobs and all that. And there's an this organization, this company in Kenya called Safaricom. The way I see Safaricom, I see it as a giant social enterprise, in as much as they are profit making,
Mm-hmm.
but the level of impact they have been able to effect in the community, and how they are intentional about it, especially uh, when Bob Collymore took over. up to this level. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you can, everywhere you go, you can see a project or a program that Safaricom is engaged in. Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah. So such organizations have been able to employ technology even as they serve a need in the society.
Great. I like the organizations that you've mentioned because they're practical, and some of them we actually know them across the region and even the continent. So what are the most important things that need to happen to make a positive change, or rather positive impact on social issues in Kenya and Africa?
Yeah, so I started talking about having a scalable solution. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, so a scalable solution is a solution that can drive exponential impact over time. That will provide a significant benefit to say a million of people. Yeah,
Mhm.
so when you're coming up with, when you're thinking through these problems and devising solutions, you need to come up with a solution that will make a lasting impact. And then your solution also should be cheap. It should not be expensive
What
because
what exactly do you mean?
by cheap I mean many people can afford it.
Mhm.
Yeah, because when you make it expensive, it means only a section of the society will be able to afford it. So it should be cheap enough, and it should also be easily replicated because a complicated model is hard to scale. So, for example, if you're starting an initiative in Nairobi, can that initiative work in Mombasa, the same initiative?
Mhm.
Can it also work in Kisumu? Can it work in Rwanda? Can it work in another part of Africa? So your solution should be easily replicated.
But
And
why is
then
that important? Why is that important? Because wouldn't that also not allow you to have a competitive edge?
you see that's why it's a initiative that has been started for specifically to make an impact, because
Mhm.
maybe the problems you are solving in Nairobi, they're still there in Mombasa, and they're still there in Kisumu. And as your growth plan, part of your growth plan should be, how can we deal with this problem in this area and also be able to deal with it in another area?
Mhm.
Is, is that, I don't know whether I'm making sense.
Yes, yes. So far, so good.
Yeah. So it should be easily replicated. Then it should also have the right leadership and the right systems and the right people in the right positions.
Good. Mhm.
Yeah. Then you should also have the ability to raise money for you to for your solution to scale. And I know it's a big challenge.
Yes, it is.
It's a big challenge on how do you raise money for your social enterprise.
Mhm.
Yeah, so uh, yeah, so but a solution that has a potential to make a big dent to a social problem, it will most likely attract some funding, most likely. Yeah, so if it's a big solution, if it is able to make a huge impact, if it is able to solve a problem or even solve the whole thing, then definitely there's someone will be interested to support, to invest in it, to support it, and even to even give mentorship along the way. Yeah.
Mm.
So Yeah. So another thing, you need a systematic way to know if your solution will be scalable for you to even attract funding. So is your solution big enough? Is it simple enough? Is it also cheap enough? We already talked about that. And by it being simple enough, we've already talked about, can it be easily replicated in other areas? Can the government, because you can also attract funding from the government, but the government will find it hard to fund or to be interested in a complicated solution. So you need to ensure that it can be understood by even people you are seeking funding from.
Mhm.
Yeah. And again, who is going to pay for it and who is going to replicate it? So when we talk about who is going to pay for it, we mean who is going to be your customer and who is going to be your funders.
Because somebody has to do that also.
Yes, someone has to do that also.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Good. I see a question from Omondi Otieno. He's asking the DIAR Awards. How do you join? He runs a community-based organization mainly for helping children and youth harness talents. So how can they get to that?
Yeah, so every it happens every year, and nominations usually start around August.
Mhm.
And so on our social media channels, you'll be able to see updates on the next nominations, when they'll be happening. So from September, we're going to launch nominations in September, and then the process will run from September up to when the award ceremony will be done in March. Yeah, so just keep tabs on our social media handles on Facebook, on Twitter, and then you'll be updated accordingly on how you can join, how you can nominate yourself or nominate someone.
Ah, okay. Now tell us
Yeah.
about the future. And I know you might not be a prophet, but definitely you're a visionary. The future of social impact in Kenya and Africa. What do you see? What are the trends coming up? What do you see as the new thing coming up? But also things that will continue being there when it comes to the future of social impact in Kenya and Africa as a whole. Uh, yeah.
Yeah, so the beauty with Africa is that Africa is endowed with the resources, uh, and we also have human resource. So the future is huge in terms of social entrepreneurship, and there are also still so many challenges that need to be tackled. And so it's a huge opportunity for anyone who has a vision to join, because we still have all these challenges. We still have challenges of sanitation, challenges in agribusiness, uh, energy. Renewable energy is now the thing, the in thing that
Mhm.
is, because of also of the climate change. So people are, I mean, even governments are now uh, thinking about renewable energy. So that's a huge there's a huge opportunity there. Agriculture, we have, you know, irrigation and all that. So and those are things that are not widely practiced in Africa.
Mhm.
Irrigation, there's no wide, you don't see a lot of huge projects that are under irrigation. So that's a huge opportunity there to solve hunger. We have health. In health, there's still opportunities in health. There are opportunities in education. Like I said, Like one of the things I'm thinking about is how to support CBC to give, especially to schools that do not have enough materials to support the CBC requirements. So you can even, come up with a center where after school or during weekends, the young kids can come and access some of those things. Maybe you can put their computers, you can put their uh, you know uh, several things that they don't have in their schools. Yeah, so that's an opportunity there because CBC it's new, and the government has also not invested so much in it. So there are so many challenges. So if you can identify a solution in that whole, yeah, in that line, and you'll be able to make an impact there. Yeah, so there's so many opportunities in Africa and in Kenya, to be specific, on
Interesting.
making, yes.
Interesting, interesting. Thank you so much for that. And I really appreciate the thought that you have had around it. Otieno Mondi is still asking a few questions in regard to DIAR and the likes. And I think we'll just let him at some point. Talking of sustainability, as he says, uh, the initiatives that we do, like for my case, I deal with youth, young people who don't have financial muscles. How do you defend the sustainability? Take an example of helping kids in football to explore talents. So I think he's just trying to understand how exactly does he deal with sustainability for his organization.
Yeah. So sustainability means you are able to run your initiative to the maximum without the resources running out.
Mhm.
Yeah. So how do you ensure that whatever you're doing, you're able to sustain it uh, for now and even in future? So depending on what you're doing, do you have a revenue model, and do you have a human resource model as well? Are you partnering with other organizations? Are you engaging the community? Do you have something that you can sell, for example, to raise funds? Do you have partners? Do you have uh, have you identified organizations that can give you fund? Are there projects you can run in partnership with other people? So there are so many things, there are so many questions you can ask yourself depending on what you're doing, that will be able to help you sustain your initiative.
Mm. Thank you, Seth. As a person who's been in programming for quite a long time, and your interests have definitely been in also training other people in program management and project coordination. Um, Considering you're an expert within the industry, you aspire to build others' technical skills in administration, resource mobilization, research, and development. I think majority of these organizations are asking, how exactly can we mobilize resources? What opportunities are there? How do we go around it? Kindly assist us on that.
Yeah, so there's something I was thinking about the way we have gender lens investing.
Mhm.
I think we also need a youth lens investing. I know the government tried with the youth fund, but it kind of, I don't know why it didn't work. But I think the private sector can also take an initiative to build a fund that is specific to young people who don't have financial muscles yet. A product
Mhm.
specific to young people. So there's that aspect of through the financial service sector. if if they can attract young people, that will be good. But on your own, you can also, for example, I can give an example with how ReLinked started. When we started, we didn't have money, but we mobilized money from friends. So every month we used to meet, and people just contribute every month. So we had that model where every month we used to uh, we meet as friends and people contribute, something like that. So you can start 5 people, five, you can maybe bring together 5 of your friends and tell them that every month come with 500, or every week come with 100, or every week come with 200, every month come with 1,000. If you're 1,000, that is 5,000. Then you take that 5,000 to do something. Start small. So what I would say is, even if there is no money, find a way of starting. Start small, bootstrap, and then along the way you will find partners. You will find people who are willing to give you a hand and a huge boost for your initiative. So don't say that because I don't have money, then I won't start. Just start where you
Mm.
are. And right now, there are even without an office, you can run things virtually, uh, as long as you know how to use some of these digital tools. Then you can be able to even start and run your initiative online for some time and attract people who will be interested in working with you.
Great,
Yes.
great, great opinions there. Thank you so much for that. Let me see which other questions we have today. At least sustainability has always been a resounding question, even with a lot of works that we've been talking about. So thank you for that, Seth. You've definitely helped somebody deeply on that one. Before we end, Seth, why is uh, programming for organizations really important, and especially for social enterprises? And how do we measure impact? How can organizations measure impact?
Yeah. So measuring impact, and that is actually another thing that you need to take into consideration if you want to attract funding. Is, are you able to measure impact? Are you able to say that our initiative, since we began, this is what we have been able to do, and this is what you want to do in the next, say 2 or 3 years. So measuring it, for example, if you are for example, feeding, maybe your solution is hunger. So how you measure impact is, for example, if you are serving cups of uji on a daily basis, so you will say today we served uh, 20 kids cups of uji. So those are 20 cups of uji in a day. And then, so that's 20 cup of uji. What's the impact of that 20? What's the impact of, okay, for example, what's the impact of a cup of uji to a child? It means they'll sit in class up to lunchtime, and they'll be able to concentrate in their learning. So that's an impact. So through serving a cup of uji, you have made an impact in education. So how will you report that? You will say, in the month of uh, of July, for example, we served 200 cups of uji, and then you'll justify how that will go far in helping to uh, in helping to uh, in helping these young people to advance their education.
Mhm.
Yes.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Seth. And ladies and gentlemen, with 3 minutes remaining, um, I still would like to ask Seth some more questions. Please, if you have a question out there, any more questions that we've not covered, please let us know and we'll continue talking about it. How can people join you at ReLinked Network?
Yeah, so on our website, we have we have we have an email address there, and we also have a number that someone can call. So just write to us an email telling us who you are, and then we'll take it there with you. So you write an email or you can call us. Our website is relinkednetwork.com, relinkednetwork.com. That's our website where you can get our details. You can also visit Relinked Group website. It's relinked, relinkedgroup.org. So that's also another place you can get in touch with us. Then also on our social media platforms, on Twitter, Relinked Group, on Facebook, Relinked Group Network, on Instagram, Relinked Group.
Mhm. Thank you so much,
So
sir.
yeah.
Thank you so much for that. As a closing word, what would you like to leave us with, please?
Yeah, so I would just want to encourage everyone to who has a burden, you have an intention that the right time to start is now. Yeah, there's no better time to start doing whatever you have purpose to do than now. So start afraid, even when you don't have, maybe you feel like you won't have enough resources to do it. Just start, and along the way you will attract someone's attention and they'll be able to work with you too. Yeah, so everyone who made it, those giant organizations you see, they started at some level. So just start, and uh, don't start small. You can start small but have a big vision. So just start. That's what I would encourage anyone today. Just start.
Hmm. Just start, ladies and gentlemen. Just start. That's what Seth Jaoko, Executive Director, Relinked Group Network, has told us this time. And as we close, as we come to an ending, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. You've been quite the meaningful guests. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your opinions. Thank you for everything that you brought us till today, and even sending us more people that we can talk to. Please remember to just subscribe, like, and share on any of our platforms, starting with YouTube, which is Let's Create Africa. And if you'd like to connect with me, it's Waihiga K. Muturi on any social platform. Let's Create Africa on any social platform. Thank you to our partners, Know Your Rights Africa, which is a civic and citizen education platform. The Future of Work, which is a platform for jobs. I would actually like to also thank Startinev, which is an innovations ecosystem, and the one and only Let's Create Africa, which is an entrepreneur support organization, which can actually help some of you identify your sustainability practices, your impact metrics, and even fundraise, but also do programs that are meaningful. With that said, and without further ado, my name is Wahiga K. Muturi. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for another session with Seth Jaoko, Executive Director, ReLinked Group Network. Have a great Thursday. God bless you. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.